Welcome, everybody. In this episode, we provide an overview of what existential risks are. We differentiate between natural and anthropogenic categories. Natural risks come from natural sources and have little to do with human intervention. Events like gamma ray bursts from outer space are examples of cosmic or astronomic natural risk. However, they can also come from Earth. Examples include supervolcanism or global glaciation. These are terrestrial in origin. We have two separate videos that cover each of these kinds of natural risk, and encourage you to watch those if you are interested. Of course, events like a nuclear holocaust can also be caused by humans. These are known as anthropogenic. An existential risk is any event that could cause the extinction of the human race or a substantial reduction to the advancement of civilization, one from which we may never recover. Salient examples are a large asteroid strike, climate change, and nuclear war. There are many existential risks. Perhaps one of the first responsibilities of a civilization is to ensure its continued survival. This means we must invest substantial resources to understand, anticipate, and prevent them from happening. We cannot be passive bystanders to an uncertain future. We need to shape events now to create a better future for us and our descendants. In the following video from Josh Clark, we see a general introduction to the idea of existential risks, or X risks, as they are sometimes referred to.
We also need to figure out how to keep AI from destroying humanity. It's not necessarily just going to guarantee this utopian future. I'm Josh Clark. I'm a podcaster, and I'm the co-host of Stuff You Should Know, and I am the host of The End of the World with Josh Clark.
In this 10-part series, Josh explores the most pressing existential risks that could lead humanity to its demise, scientifically speaking.
So I started doing The End of the World because I came across a paper by this guy named Nick Bostrom called Are You Living in a Computer Simulation? And that kind of brought me into this world of learning about existential risks.
From asteroid collisions to nuclear war, existential risks range from natural disasters to anthropogenic catastrophes. No matter the origin, these perilous global threats have the potential to wipe out humanity as we know it.
The problem is right now, not enough people know about the existential risks to care about it. The next steps as a species or as a civilization are to funnel human capital into the study of existential risks.
But by closely examining each oncoming risk, both theoretically and technologically, we're much more likely to be ready for them when they get here.
So I was talking to a guy named Toby Ord, who is a philosopher at the Future of Humanity Institute. He's a colleague of Nick Bostrom's. And Dr. Ord is actually pretty hopeful that we're going to make it through this challenge of existential threats that are coming our way. He gives humanity something like a 50-50 chance of making it through. And some of the things that give him hope are the fact that we have demonstrated that we can do this. He points to the animal rights movement, the environmentalism movement, and from people standing up and saying, this is a problem, we need to do something about this. And so Toby Ord's position is the same thing needs to happen with existential risks, and that once people start to understand the challenges that are coming down the pike, we can't help but start to care.
And this is exactly the path that led Josh to creating this podcast. The more he researched, the more these risks became very real threats, leading him to spread the word about existential risk in order to foster hope for the future of humanity.
What's being laid out in front of us is possibly the greatest challenge that our species will ever have to go through. And the thing that I have the most hope for is that if we make it through the coming existential risks, what kind of positive effects will that have on humanity as a whole? And how great could it be? How much wonder and promise is there? We have this opportunity to be a better species on the other side of this.
Although many existential risks come from uncontrollable environmental causes, many also stem from our own natures. Human beings are a mixture of admirable and less desirable qualities. We now live in a comfort and health that was unimaginable to our grandparents due to technology. Science has cured many diseases and may even make us, someday, immortal. We can now even travel around the globe in a day and go to the moon. However, we also harbor within us anger, violence, and stupidity. Although technology advances, human nature has stayed pretty much the same. If we can use technology to augment ourselves, then we can become better people and use technology more responsibly. As the scientist E.O. Wilson so succinctly stated, the real problem of humanity is that we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. He is right. If we want civilization to flourish, we need to improve all of these elements by building better brains, better institutions, and better technology. Otherwise, in a century or less, there may be no intelligent life left in the universe. In what follows, we provide a summary of what we believe to be the major existential risks. These are described in alphabetical order and not in terms of their threat level. The first is artificial intelligence. It is unclear whether or if advanced AI could lead to Armageddon. The quote-unquote Terminator scenario, where AI systems subvert human control, is one possibility. AI may exert much more subtle effects, however. For example, in the hands of a dictator, they could be used to engineer superweapons or take control of a population. Decreased human control over missile early warning systems could also result in a catastrophic accident if they are controlled by AI systems. In addition, increased automatization may also displace human workers, leading to widespread chaos and civil unrest. We live in a dangerous universe with many hazards facing the planet that originate from space. Coronal mass ejections are significant releases of plasma from the sun. These can wreak havoc with the Earth's magnetic field, and if severe enough, can disrupt electrical and communication systems. Gamma ray bursts are rays of intense radiation that can cause a mass extinction if they hit the Earth directly. Asteroids are made of rock, metal, or ice, and range in size from just a few meters to the size of a small planet or moon. Larger versions have in the past caused global extinction events. Authoritarianism and its more extreme version, totalitarianism, are forms of government characterized by a strong, centralized concentration of power used to dominate and control their populations. Fascism in Nazi Germany and communism in Soviet Russia are two examples of what happens when totalitarians are allowed to take over. Authoritarian nations are more likely to go to war and to use weapons of mass destruction. They are thus a secondary causal factor to human extinction. Even if totalitarians take over the entire world and don't go to war against each other, the result might be worse than extinction, what George Orwell calls a boot stamping on a human face forever. Changes to our planet's atmosphere and ecology caused by the buildup of carbon emissions is happening more rapidly than many scientists predicted. The results are rising sea levels threatening coastal areas and increased frequency and severity of extreme weather events, including hurricanes. More concerning are the downstream events these will cause. Crops might die in droughts, resulting in mass starvation and emigration across the globe. Many of us receive our news about the world through social media. However, much of that news is simply false, being created by bad actors around the world. These messages are being amplified by human trolls and software bots. We pick them up on our news feeds and pass them on to our friends. This propaganda is really widespread. It influences our beliefs and inflames our passions. The consequence is a world that is more delusional and dissatisfied than ever before. It has been directly linked to the downfall of democratic institutions and the rise of autocratic regimes who use it to great effect. These messages are driving political polarization, pitting us against each other, and resulting in dysfunctional politics, as well as preference for populist nationalist leaders. Many, but not all, nuclear weapons were dismantled after the end of the Cold War. However, a significant majority remain in the United States and Russia. What is worse, many countries that did not possess the bomb early on in the 20th century now have the technology and are manufacturing them. Although the data are not clear due to secrecy, it is likely that China is going to great efforts to build up its nuclear capability. During the Cold War, the situation was bipolar, and mutual assured destruction was a credible deterrent. However, with new countries joining the quote-unquote nuclear club, the situation has now become multipolar and more complex, making it harder for deterrence, test bans, and treaties. We are just recovering from the COVID-19 crisis. Imagine a virus that spreads faster, is more lethal, and harder to treat. Pathogens that are highly transmissible and have delayed symptom onset are difficult to detect and contain. Epidemiologists predict that pandemic outbreaks of this nature will be more likely in the future. That is because as the human population grows, we expand into areas where viruses used to circulate only in animal reservoirs like monkeys or bats. The future is hard to predict, so it's not clear which, if any, of these threats may materialize. We have to acknowledge also that there may be some risks that are not listed here and which we can't anticipate. Either way, it is important that we not sit idly by, twiddling our thumbs and doing nothing. It is equally important that we not panic. As the saying goes, we must keep calm, but carry on, understanding these risks while working to prevent them. The purpose of the Saving Civilization project is to do just this. We are dedicated to educating the public about such risks, working towards solutions, and connecting with like-minded organizations across the globe. We welcome you to join us in this effort. Our webpage is saveourcivilization.com. Click on the Explore tab there to find links for other X-Risk organizations, podcasts, and a recommended reading list.